Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix of Echo. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and are getting the newest version earlier, well, too bad because it's finished. Sorry I pressed that button in my mind. But you can support them on other games on their Patreon. So, in the last Let's Play, we started Flynn's route, which was a bit short for me, because reasons, and we followed Flynn, or we restarted, followed Flynn, was like, hey, you're being a jerk, and then we went to go get burgers. Well, I got a burger, he got like a tuna melt or something like that, and then we decided what to do the next day, but we also had a nightmare where he told us to dig in the sand, and we found a hand that reached for us, because, metaphor, hyena. And also, we're going to be hanging out with Carl. Hyena. You set face. And start. How's this look? Carl dangles his lure right in front of himself, bouncing it around. Flynn squints at it incredulously. I'm pretty sure his muzzle would be hanging open if he didn't have a toothpick in his mouth. Jesus frickin' Christ, Carl. What is that? What? Carl has tied a spinner in a giant ugly knot, the string sticking out of it in every which way. This is why I told you to fucking wait. I guess Carl had gotten impatient and decided to tie his own lure while Flynn helped me with mine. Flynn takes out a knife from his pocket and takes the spinner from Carl, scowling. I'd throw this away if I didn't have so fucking few of them. What's wrong with you, Carl? Carl shoves his hands in his pockets and watches as Flynn struggles with getting the knot fixed. Ooh. I don't see what the big deal is. It's attached, isn't it? He looks at me and grins, shrugging his shoulders. I shrug back. You made it so fucking big, it's not gonna spin right. Flynn's muttering angrily under his breath, squeezing his forearms to his chest as he tries to keep his fingers steady. Carl rolls his eyes and looks over at me and grins. Why we gotta fish with these when we got an otter with us? Also, sorry, I gotta look. What is a spinner? Spinner fishing. I guess it's basically those things that like very loosely look like fish. Maybe they have feathers or something like that and they have a hook on them. I remember those things. I'm willing. That's not the point. Flynn almost growls, prodding and poking at the messy knot. Ooh. It's about relaxing. And how is Chase gonna relax swimming around the whole time? Well, he is an otter and he loves swimming. He finally seems to get a hang of the mess and starts tugging out the line. And how am I gonna relax with you fucking messing everything up? Or fucking everything up? The line finally drops away from the spinner. That's what I get for bringing a pothead along. Hey, I'm straight right now. Sure. Flynn snickers. You sure about that? Carl rolls his eyes again. Ask Chase. I sit on a rock as I slowly reel my line, watching my spinner glisten under the water. Why are you asking me? You have, what is it called? Gaydar? Isn't the idea that everyone has it? He doesn't respond as Flynn starts showing him how to actually tie the line. He comes up empty and casts the line out again, listening to the clicking whirl of the reel before the spinner lands with a plop in the middle of the pond. I was wondering where Flynn would go fish since we wouldn't go to Emma, obviously. It turns out that he and Leo found this pond 20 minutes outside town, deep in the wilderness. Unsurprisingly, since no one's here, which is why Flynn says it's good, the fishing is good. What, you mean this little body of water just right back here? It's not really fish-y. There's definitely something calming about being out in the middle of nowhere, especially with the repetitive motions of fishing too deep to keep you occupied. Finally, Flynn finishes, showing Carl how to cast, and the ram launches the spinner out, almost all the way to the other side of the pond. Careful, idiot. If you get it snagged at the other end, I'll whoop your ass. Oh, lay off, Flynn. Carl reels it fast, then casts out again, making a pew sound as it does. Flynn sighs, before walking up next to me, watching as I reel it much slower. I feel a little self-conscious in the way he stands over me, worried I'm doing something wrong. Sure enough, he steps forward, his chest up against my back, and he grips the pole. Grab it above the reel post. Here. He holds the rod and grabs the paw and slides it up the pole. That way, you can really grip it when you catch something. He's right up against my back, arms wrapped around me. I swallow and try to focus on the pole. Alright. Ooh. I hear him give a low chuckle in his throat as I glare. Of course, he knows what he's doing right now, with my paws and the pole. He's probably rubbing in what he said yesterday. I decide to respond by slamming my tail up the inside of his leg, and I feel him shift against me, his chuckle turning into a grunt of surprise. What the hell are you guys doing? Flynn lets go of the pole and steps back as Carl watches us, his face screwed up with an exaggerated disgust. Well, he doesn't want his side hustle to know that he has another side hustle. Showing him how to fish. It's your turn, fatty. Carl pauses on his reeling. It's not like we haven't done this before. Plus, I don't know if I want to feel your cloaca on my ass. Too bad. That's where it's going. I focus back on fishing, still feeling a little warm from the close encounter I just had with Flynn. I'm a little angry he'd tried that, especially so soon after what had happened. I try to focus back on how relaxing the motions are, sweeping the lake clockwise as I cast out again and again. If I really did want to catch a fish, though, I would have been swimming in the water right now. It isn't too hard to do. I'd done it several times when I was younger in the reservoir. Of course, that's less relaxing when you have to actively search for fish, rather than just sit placidly until one bites your lure. I've never killed one before, though. Careful, Carl! I wince and look out the side, seeing Flynn covering his head and ducking as Carl's lure bounces and swings around above him. He didn't let go of the fucking button! Carl shrugs and starts to swing his pole around, trying to unwrap the line from his pole. Well, if you weren't right up against my tail, you wouldn't have to worry about that. I'm trying to show you... Kapew! Carl launches the lure over the pond so far that it almost lands on the opposite bank. Again? It does, however, wrap tightly around a branch sticking up from a fallen log in the shallows. Fucking believable. Shit. He starts tugging and pulling, trying to get it untangled from the log. No, stop. You're gonna have to walk around the edge and get it. What? There's a fucking cacti on the edges. No way in hell. Too bad. That's one of my last fucking lures. What? Come on! Carl's shoulders slump as he looks out across the pond. I sigh and set my pole down my pole and start stripping my shirt off, following my pants. After a pause, I decide to take off my boxers too. It's not like Jenna's here. It takes a while to stop arguing. Now, about the plural form of cactus, and realizing that I'm now nude. Chase? I'll get the damn lure. Just stop arguing. Heh. Just wanted an excuse to give a little striptease, huh? Shut up. We've all seen each other naked. I do try to angle my hips away, so they can't see my balls and cock. Which is hard to do, considering I've got a plenty steep bank to wobble over. I manage it though, and pretty soon, I'm sludging through the thick mud. Careful, I don't know what's fucking in there. Didn't you say no one comes here? I don't get a response because I dive right in after that. The familiar feeling of water closing up around me, cutting off the air and sound. Okay, this is less of a pond and more of, I don't know, something. Again, it's a huge relief to be back in the water, and I drift towards the bottom. It's not deep at all, and the water here has a slimy feel that I don't like. Still, it's better than nothing, and I undulate slowly across the pond. It doesn't take long to reach the log, as it's only about 30 feet away. I have to bob a few times to the surface to look around, though, since the water's too murky to see through. I'm actually kind of starting to regret doing this. I try to remember that if I have any cuts or sores, I'm gonna have to douse it in peroxide water later. That's when one of my paws bumps the log, and I bob back up to the surface, wiping my craw across my eyes. I see the line glinting above me, some drops of pond water clinging to it. I reach up and grasp it between my index and thumb, and follow it to the branch. I feel Carl giving it a few tugs. Hey, Jace. Flynn says there's leeches in the pond. I hear a loud smack across, followed by a yelp. Yeah, I wouldn't think there'd be leeches in the desert. Don't fucking yank it around. You're gonna snag his eyeball. Wait, you gonna snag his eyeball? I ignore them as I search for the lure. I continue to follow along the line until I lean over the log and spot the spinner, shimmering in the sunlight, the hook wedged into soft, wet wood. It comes out easy as I carefully lift it, making sure I'm out of the way of the hook, in case Carl decides to yank the line again. When I turn around, I'm glad to see Flynn's got the pole now. I hold up the lure to show him and let it drop back in the water. Flynn slowly starting to reel it back in. I go back in, slowly swimming back to the opposite bank. It's at this point I see a little silver flash to the right of my field of vision. I look over and see a fish swimming lazily over some plant life at the bottom of the pond. I pause and would have smiled if my mouth wasn't going to fill with pond water. It would be funny after all this time, with the lures and their poles, for me to just pop one out of the water, fish and paw. I swim over to it slowly, lingering to the side so I won't block the sunlight before diving down and snatching it up. I latch in my claws and keep it from escaping as I give a little wiggle of delight. It's been a long time since I've done this, but it looks like I've still got it. I turn and start swimming back to Flynn and Carl, and that's when I suddenly feel like I'm being watched. It's not the typical feeling, though. This is much more intense. What is that feeling anyways? Because I don't know what it would be, you know? Is it that feeling like you're in the house at night alone, and you're wondering if someone else is in the house? I don't know. I pause and look back over the shoulder, then forward again. Actually, let me just type it into Google so I could just look at it later. There you go. It's pointless because everything's cloudy. I can't see more than 10 feet. I've sunk down to the bottom of the pond, both my feet resting in the deep muck as I crouch, trying to figure out where the feeling is coming from. It doesn't help that my head is starting to buzz, a tone building in my head that sounds like an orchestra tuning. I haven't been down that long. I shouldn't be running out of air. Of course, I could just swim up to the surface, where it's bright and safe, but I don't because this feels too familiar. I think back to when I was 12, playing in the abandoned school with Carl. I was hiding from him in the second floor classroom when I felt this exact feeling. Intense, almost physical, like a hand that was grabbing onto the back of my neck. I look around again, then finally look down at the fish in my paws. And now I know it's come from. Before I know it, I'm whipping upwards, breaking through the surface in less than a second and swimming towards my friends. I stumble onto the bank, splashing water everywhere as I do. I'm not holding the fish anymore. What the fuck were you doing? I try to steady my breathing, hoping they'll just think it's because I was down so long, rather than me freaking the fuck out. Carl's laughing next to Flynn as I start pressing my paws down my body, trying to speed up the drying process. What? Carl shrugs, but Flynn smacks him upside the head again. He pissed in the water while you were under. Great. Honestly, I don't really care right now. I wouldn't worry about it. You didn't come near it, and there's probably worse in there anyway. Speaking of which, why don't you go further up the stream and wash up? Wait, we're in a stream? I don't want you to bring Pong Chit into my truck. Okay. I sigh and pick up my clothes, just glad they seemingly hadn't noticed anything's off. Luckily for me, Flynn's parked right next to the stream, so it's easy to find. I kind of miss going in streams and stuff. Like, stream slime on the bottom is kind of yucky, but it's also kind of like, this is a feeling, a view for something. It's freezing cold, though, compared to the pond, so I get washed up quickly. I gasp as I splash water over my body, shivering before I stand back and start squeezing the water out of my fur again. Everything's okay? I jump and look back. Flynn's leaning against his truck, arms folded, watching me. I blush. It was easier to be naked in front of two of them, but for some reason, it just being Flynn makes it way more embarrassing. Turn back around, press my tail harder against my ass, as I wave my arms up and down, trying to dry off. Yeah, come for a show? Heh, yeah, always want to see the naked otter mimicking the bird. Shut up, I'm trying to dry off. Flynn doesn't say anything, so I just turn around, not even bothering to cover up, paws on my hips. Okay, seriously, why'd you come to see me? Wait, you just come to see me naked? He hasn't moved at all, but he cracks a smile. Maybe. I don't let that trip me up. Instead, thrust my hips out, legs spread. Well, there you go. I got him down my truck. He's still smiling, and his eyes definitely aren't on mine. Flynn has flirted with me before, even while I was dating Leo. I can read. I vaguely remember there being some altercations between the two. I make my way towards the truck, again, trying to angle my hips away from him. You really know how to creep a guy out. I lift up on the handle, but the door doesn't open. Hey, unlock the... Something shoves hard into the small of my back, and I'm thrown forward to land with the wet splat against the hot metal Flynn's truck. What the hell? Something tall, skinny, and muscular presses up against my back. Okay, this would be very uncomfortable. Don't be this guy. Chills run down my spine as Flynn's muzzle snuffles in my ear, a low growling in his voice. You really think you can tease me like that and get away with it? His paws slide around my body, between the car and my stomach, before moving up my chest. I'm frozen that way, paws against the passenger window, as I stare in shock through it at the truck's steering wheel, though I'm not really seeing it. There's a pause, and I think it's because he's waiting for my response to see if I tell him to stop or not. I don't, though, and I lean my head back into his neck, feeling my entire body break out into goosebumps as he rubs my chest. You like that, don't you? I respond with a gasp as the sharp teeth graze across one of my stubby ears, his hot breath sending another wave of chills over my skin. His hands slide back down, slowly, feeling out my body. Acting like a little slut. You didn't think this was going to happen? I stiffen a little under the remark and lift my tail up again between his legs. You're one to fucking talk. I'm not completely sure about what's going on, if this is a spur-of-the-moment thing, or if he's trying to prove a point. What I do know is that we both want it. I mean, Chase is the bottom, so let him do the work. Flynn's not too bad with his hands. I'm gonna see what he does. Flynn pauses for a second, as if he's having second thoughts, but after a while, he goes on. Damn, you're fucking hot. He rubs my stomach, which I suck in, and I have to keep from whimpering as one of his fingers teases my belly button. I like skinny guys. It's just that natural part of being an otter. I can tell you don't work out. Hey, I just have to keep in shape. I swim. Wait, so I have to keep in shape. I swim. I can't go on as he breathes into my ear again, making me gasp and lean my head back, biting my lip. Sensitive ears, huh? Finally, he gets to my lower stomach as he pauses, waiting again for my response. Again, I don't say anything. Instead, pushing my butt back into his crotch and thighs. One of his pinky fingers prods gently at the top of my woo. Suddenly, let's go from cupping my stomach to cupping my woo, pushing the furry sack up against my body. I gasp loudly, eyes wide, as I feel my woo filling up his thumb and prod my nuts. I didn't think it was going to be going like this, but okay. There's something mind-blowingly bizarre about having one of my childhood friends groping me like this, and it's got me all kinds of confused. Kind of like when Leo did it, I guess. 3 years ago, just before I left, this would have been insane. No way in hell would I have been okay with it. But now, something about the time we'd been apart that's made it all this okay, and incredibly hot. I think not having any sort of release over the past few days has something to do with it. Flynn suddenly lets go, then grabs me by the shoulder and spins me around roughly. Once my back is pressed firmly against the truck, he grabs my wrist and pins him by my head. Okay, I like that thing there. But also, where the fuck's Carl? With my body fully exposed, he looks me over, a hungry look in his eyes. I just stand there, feeling vulnerable in his gaze, especially when he gets to my junk. I get harder just with him looking at it. His eyes flick back up to mine, and I look back at him. Then he gives me a smirk. Flynn sneers back, and suddenly his head dives in. I give him a smirk. Okay. I have just a second to gasp before I feel his muzzle close around my neck, and I freeze, fur standing up all over my body. Flynn gently undulates his head, getting his teeth past the thick fur over my neck to prick at my skin underneath. I stare at the sky, mouth hanging open as I clutch at his chest, feeling the chuckle past his pecs as he keeps me pinned. Then he presses his thick tongue through my fur to tease at my flesh, pressing against the pulse in my neck. My knees go weak, and I sag against the truck, letting out a loud, gasping whimper. This spurs the lizard on as he lets out another chuckle, doing it again, clearly one to make me make more noises. How the hell does he know all my weak spots? For some reason, I start to wonder if he talked to Leo about me, and that brings up all kinds of complications I don't want to think about right now. I shove in the back of my mind. Besides, I know Flynn's weak spots too. Okay, how do you know that? Flynn brings down my right paw from his position against the window, which is fine because it was starting to fall asleep. But then he presses it against his stomach. He's warm and soft, his leathery hide sliding smoothly along the muscles of his belly. It's clear he doesn't work out either, but I'm okay with that. I press against him, and he gives me a slight huff through his nostrils. Then he starts to slide a paw lower, past the waistband of his pants, under his boxers. I can see what's going on, since he's still got his mouth against my neck. That's when I feel something hot and smooth against my fingertips. I grin, feeling mischievous. Wrapping a paw around Flynn's uwu, I give it a brisk uwu. He moans, practically melting over me now, his muzzle in the crook of my neck, and I think I feel him drooling down my back? Shit, you must have been a handful for Wolf Boy. He's not the type to easily submit. Him? What? Flynn's right. Leo was a stubborn boyfriend, in and out of the bedroom. And with a lot of coaxing, I could eventually get him to see things my way, but that hardly ever happened. I had a lot more energy when I was a teenager. More zest, I guess? It's hard to explain, but over the years, I've just become more, well, exactly what Flynn's accused me of being. Personally, I just chalk it to growing up. Right now, wait, would it be a slut? I do sort of feel like my old self, and that's kind of incredible. Hey, I'm a versatile otter. I like to trade off. I grin as Flynn guides my paws in his briefs, smirking his turn smirk? Turn smirk. Maybe not again. Grope him? I'm about to continue stroking when Flynn suddenly pulls away. He lets go of my wrists, and the expression on his face is strange again. He's looking for something. I'm confused, still sort of slack-jawed, and stare back at him. What? Slowly, his expression became more resolute, almost dark, as he steps back further away from me, throwing his arms. Nothing. Just realized Carl could see us. We shouldn't have done it here. Huh? He's acting like I started this. I'm feeling self-conscious now that he's clearly not interested in continuing. I turn away, slightly, one paw against the car, as I angle my body so he can't see my dick anymore. Or woo. I look back over my shoulder at him, feeling myself get angrier. Hey, you're the one. But he's already turned around and headed back towards the pond. I watch him go, feeling bewildered, and maybe even a little hurt. Asshole. I mutter in my breath. Did he stop because he decided I wasn't up to his standards? The idea hurts even more, because I imagine those are pretty low. I stand there for a while longer, feeling like a complete idiot, before, finally, heading back to the stream. I've picked up all kinds of shit and spraying my body against this dirty truck. I'll be sure not to let him take advantage of me so easily again. I think that's a good time to save it. Boy, my throat feels not good. I don't know why. Like, I did do a visual novel collab with somebody earlier today, and that was like about an hour, but, since it was a collab, they talked, I talked, so it was easier on my throat, because my ooey throat is ooh. Now I'm gonna click that, and see, Yeah, same thing happens. You try to do a thing, and he does a thing. Or he pulls back. Lord, I'm actually so tired right now. I don't know. Like, I want to do these things, because, like, I might get, like, super busy in the near future. I don't know. Getting a new job. But traveling to do that. Yeah. So, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please comment, because I like comments, seems you like dislike tips, tricks, otherwise. If you like my YouTube and likes it grow, then please like, subscribe, and check out every step we grow. Please remember to spare your apples to help control the pet population. I guess I could use a cup of tea with honey. I've had like 2 cups of coffee today, maybe 3. Did I have 3? Yeah, I guess I did have 3. I don't know, just haven't been sleeping too well, I guess, recently, especially last night. And then I woke up this morning and was like, ugh. Also, let's check out what this feeling of watch feeling is. Nighttime, alone in dangerous area. Okay. Just, yeah. Anyways, until next time. Be go GamerWolfSix of Echo. Game about Echo. Whoa. So thanks and see ya.